Mike Solhaug. I'm president of the HR Lodge 3-522, and in my slide presentation I'll explain how those numbers came about. I've been president for about a year now. It's been a fantastic opportunity personally, but it's also what's been great is to see the growth of Norge Norsemen, and I've been so impressed with not only the number of people but the fellowship. And the perfect example, of course, was Eula board in the dark, but it wasn't in the dark. It was a candlelight Eula board, which is now a tradition, I guess, right? And but just remarkable. So I'm very happy to come up here and have a smooth drive. That always helps. And so what I'm going to do today is go through some of the things about our lodge, but also what Sons of Norway is. There's two components. One is the insurance company, and then there's the other fraternal organization that we're a part of, so that you can have some understanding of how it started, and then some of the insurance opportunities that Sons of Norway provides. Each lodge is supposed to show these, so it's not a pitch, okay, and I'm not a businessman. I'm a pediatrician, and great to see the kids here. This has been fantastic. This is my kind of gathering when you got a bunch of little ones around. So I'll go ahead and get started. If you got questions, let me know. This is not a comprehensive description of everything that we do, but I'll give you some ideas of the activities that take place jointly with Norge Norsemen, and then the Hampton Roads Lodge on the south side, and then of course your bazaars, which are two different times, and the Eula board dinners, which are two different times as well. Solhaug, of course, is a Norwegian name, and I've been here a while, and it still causes problems. They keep putting an H on the end of it. They think it's Dutch, or drop a vowel in there or two. And I do some admissions work with East Virginia Medical School, and all our interviews are virtual. And occasionally an applicant will try and pronounce my name, and I said, listen, just call me Dr. Mike, and that's just fine. So, but it's been wonderful to meet people, and also to revitalize my own personal interest, and hopefully your interest in Norwegian culture and Scandinavian culture, okay? And I actually we just had a lodge meeting in Virginia Beach, and I wanted to recognize the improved relationship between the Norwegians and the Swedes. Last fall, I believe, Sweden has a research rocket facility way up north, and a rocket they launched went astray and landed in Norway. Well, there's about 5 people per 1 square mile, and no one in Norway really noticed it until someone was out elk hunting or something and discovered this rocket. So, of course, the Swedes weren't going to tell the Norwegians that they had shot a rocket at Norway. So then there was a minor diplomatic kerfuffle, and Sweden finally allowed us how they had shot the rocket. So it didn't escalate to the point where there were 1,000 Swedes running through the weeds chased by 1 Norwegian. But you never know. And so last week, a couple of days ago, Norway and Sweden actually have a joint police effort, a border patrol joint police effort, which is a remarkable step forward to recognize that yes, you have police on this side, we have police on that side. So things are looking better than the rocket launch catastrophe. So I really do want to mention a couple of major events that take place, and if you're able to attend this one, and then we always have the Leif Erikson celebration at Maritime Museum. So this is a Norwegian lady ceremony. It's at the Virginia Beach ocean front. It's always in March. They haven't settled on the date, but it's usually like the latter part of March. If you don't know anything about the Norwegian lady, there was a shipwreck 130 so years ago at the Virginia Beach oceanfront. And this name of the ship was the Dictator. And it was going up the coast and got caught in right off the Outer Banks. This was the graveyard of the Atlantic, so to speak. And the ship kept getting pushed closer and closer into shore. They finally grounded off the beach, Virginia Beach, right around 32nd, 34th Street or so. And there's a Virginia Beach Rescue has a rescue unit all up and down, just like all the coastal cities that have rescue units on the Outer Banks. They got rescue teams and so forth. And say they launched a rescue team, and they rescued all but 4 of the crew members. Unfortunately, the captain's wife died, and she was pregnant. And so what happened was the Norwegians wanted to, from Moss, Norway is where the ship came from. So citizens of Moss, Norway wanted to erect a statue in memory of this particular event and the people that were lost in the catastrophe. So they commissioned a statue, and it's facing out into the Atlantic towards Virginia Beach. Well, Virginia Beach citizens then decided, well, let's have a sister statue. So in Virginia Beach, this is the exact replica of that statue. That faces across the Atlantic towards Moss, Norway. And it's a wonderful tribute to the catastrophe and the event. And so now Moss, Norway is the sister city with Virginia Beach. So every March then we have this annual ceremony in Moss, Norway, and then also in Virginia Beach, and we celebrate the Norwegian lady and the relationship now between the two cities in our people. So this is when it was last year. Again, I don't have a date, and I'll be sending out lots of advertisements about it. If it's a nice day, come on down. If it's a little windy, it gets pretty windy there, but I can understand that. But if it's a nice day, please make the trip. It's fun. We have a whole event planned. We've got the Norwegian NATO leadership gives some introductions and don't talk too long, but they're always involved in what we're doing. And then we have a reception at this used to be the rescue unit, and it's now a museum, and we have a nice reception. So it's a nice day and a nice outing. So if you get a chance, come on down for this Norwegian lady. So here's some events that are coming up for Norge Norsemen, and you have a great program put together by Mr. Dannon. Thank you very much for organizing this. And I want to mention that we record all of our we live Zoom the presentations if you can't make the meeting, and then they're also recorded, and we have a YouTube channel that you can view the recorded presentations on. I just gave a presentation at the meeting about the legacy of the 1994 Lillehammer Olympics. And I originally started doing a whole bunch of sports stuff, right? But it turned out that Lillehammer 1994 was a benchmark for Norwegian sports. It revitalized a lot of sports that had been had received much interest, such as alpine skiing. But more importantly, it changed how Winter Olympics proceeded after that. And you know, most Olympics, they build all these huge facilities, and then the Olympics are gone and they become white castles, white elephants. So Norway was purposeful in designing it, putting it in communities with environmental concerns. And one of the hockey venues is actually built into a cavern in a mountain. There's this huge cavern, and they tunneled into it, and they built the hockey rink in a swimming pool. And our treasurer, Randy Ziegler, is from that town. That during the war, they put the kids in the cavern because it was safe, away from the Germans. So let's get to what's going on. So how did Sons of Norway get started? And it's really a great story because it's people pulling together to support each other. In the mid-1800s, fraternal benefit organizations started, and it started because only people with money could afford insurance. So working men, newly arrived immigrants couldn't afford insurance, and so several of these self-help groups, now called fraternal benefit organizations, started to crop up. And the organizations were organized by ethnicity, gender, religion, and so forth. And so the Norwegians pulled together so they could provide insurance for their fellow countrymen who were arriving, or families that were already there and would want to benefit from it. So they incorporated in 1895, and here's the founders, and they're all from one location in Norway. And they formed the Benefit Society to make sure the families had insurance. They needed it, and then of course they're from Minnesota. Here, I'm from Minnesota as well. And so then Congress passed a couple laws that actually allowed them to function on a more legal basis. And so they could the fraternal benefit organizations could take income and so forth. So both those congressional laws will allow these fraternal benefit organizations to move forward. And in particular, fraternal benefit organizations are exempt from taxes, and that's how Sons of Norway started as an organization. So, Sons of Norway is an offspring from the Financial Benefit Organization, and you have to have some type of fraternal purpose, and that's our lodge system. Then also provide benefits for members, and that's the insurance component. And of course, regalia and rituals and all this stuff, nice rigmarole that provides us to put on banners and sashes and that sort of thing. So, the Sons of Norway is organized by an international lodge, a district lodge, and then local lodges. And the headquarters are in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's about 4 blocks from my old high school, which they tore down for the right reasons, of course. And nobody really shed a tear. So Hampton Roads, we're a local lodge, and 3 stands for the 3rd district, and 522 is the 522nd lodge that started in the system. So that's why you got 3-522. The International Lodge is comprised of the United States, Canada, and Norway, and that's why when we have our lodge meeting, we sing the national anthems from those 3 countries. And there are 8 districts, a total of 361 lodges, and 37,000 members or so. And you guys are pushing that number up. It's just fantastic. You keep up the good work here. This is a picture of the International Board, and this is Ralph Peterson, who's been a lodge member for years. He was a vice president. I just wanted to recognize Ralph. He's the membership person, and he's the go-to guy for questions about what's going on in our relationship with headquarters and so forth. So here's the districts, and you can see that District 3 comprises the whole eastern seaboard. District 4, they cut out part of the area up here, North Dakota, and part of Minnesota. Here's Minnesota here. This is the Red River that runs down the border between Minnesota and North Dakota. Grow a lot of sugar beets up there. And then this District 7 up here in the Washington area, the huge population of Norwegian Americans from Washington State. We just talked about Ballard, Washington, which is right next to Seattle, and the sitting to my celebration is jam-packed. It's a great deal. So we're in District 3, and this is District 3, and then we're in Zone 7. We'll come to that in a second. So it was started in Brooklyn, New York, and so it's the original Local lodges were predominantly up in the New York area. And we're now the second largest lodge in District 3, thanks to the influx of the big boost from Norge Norsemen in particular. We're the second largest. And here's Zone 7, and we're in Zone 7. So Zone 7 is North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia. We're the largest in Zone 7. The largest in District 3 is the District of Columbia, and it's actually in the Northern Virginia area, if not in the district itself, but they call it themselves the district. And our upcoming district convention will be in Washington, D.C., in Northern Virginia. So Hampton Roads is, again, the largest lodge in Zone 7. It's an active group, and we share a lot of information between lodges, ideas about membership and so forth. And this is our banner. You saw this up at the bazaar. And this identifies us as Lodge 3-522. A lot of district activities. I'm not going to go through them. We share them quite a bit. A lot of these happen at the reunion conventions. In Jacksonville, we had a regatta competition. Did you know the guy Evan Rood that built the boats? Evan Rood built 12 replicas of a Viking longship, and that's the one we have that we show at the bazaar is one of those 12. And the longships are built with a special way of building the hull, and they have the planks overlap. It's called clinker built, and they're not lined up side by side. They overlap, and that gives them great flexibility, and that's why they did so well in rough seas, because the boat can bend and move with the seas. So anyway, Evan Root did that. He did pretty good on the motor side too. So the Fraternal Insurance Organization supports, again, Nordic heritage, and this is a description of the Sons of Norway. They have a large amount of assets, and the insurance organization is to serve members of the Sons of Norway. So there are really three components. There's a fraternal organization, and that's us. And what we do, we can celebrate our heritage and culture, and not just Norwegians, also Scandinavians, of course. I mentioned Swedes a couple times, but we welcome anyone who has Scandinavian background, or anyone who's interested in Scandinavian heritage. And we want to be inclusive and celebrate Scandinavia in a larger sense. So it does provide financial support. We'll talk about that, the financial benefits. And then we have a foundation. I'll talk about the foundation a little bit, where they provide scholarships, particularly college scholarships. There are cultural education opportunities, language, cultural skills. There's a sports program, and there's plenty of web resources for events. And you get the magazine, the Viking magazine, which is really wonderful. And this month's issue describes the Telemark military operation, which was to stop the heavy water production that Germany needed to build their nuclear power. And if you had a chance to read it, it's just fantastic. There's a TV series called Heavy Water Wars that describe this particular effort of stopping the heavy water production. And it's a great story about these men, courageous men. So the financial side of Sons of Norway provides a significant amount of support for the Fraternal Sons of Norway organization as well. And I just want to mention they have lots of insurance programs, products that you can tap into and went through the website. So they have life insurance, and then they also have annuities, and you can take advantage of this if you desire. There's a variety of life products and also annuities. So you're not just part of a fraternal organization, you also can participate in the financial support side as well as Sons of Norway if you so decide. And then you can contact me if you want to know the agents, or you can look it up in Sons of Norway. Their district is the only district in the whole organization, international organization of Sons of Norway, that has a charitable trust. And this is a wonderful opportunity for fellow members to support other members who are in need. And it's to assist predominantly elderly, but it could be anyone who has services that are required and they're short of money. And we're continually providing support for members throughout the year. They have to be in Sons of Norway, of course, and the whole enterprise, the connection is confidential. We now have about $200,000, more than that now, of operating funds. And right now, and this is a little old, there were 8 families receiving about $350 a month. And it depends on, there's no time limit. Technically, there's no dollar limit as well. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. And again, it's from that spirit of the original founders of the fraternal organization, and we've carried that forward today. And it's the same idea of supporting our members and those of us who celebrate our cultural heritage. And so the foundation, I'll go through briefly. There's grants and scholarships. Grants can support activities within the lodges themselves, a significant amount of scholarships, and then also some support for campers who go to there was a camp provided for children in New York. And so here's an example of the 15 scholarships. And I'll just highlight one here. It's created to assist college tuition costs for American citizens of Norwegian and or German heritage. And it's to honor the, provided by the parents for the children, in honor of their children. And this is a good example of scholarship money that's available for children of Sons of Norway members. And it's really easy to to receive it. You have to have a GPA of 2.5 or higher. Well, I'm not going to tell you what my GPA was in college, but then we'll move on from that. But that's pretty low bar, relatively speaking, and you don't have to have a high bar to maintain it. So it's really available. And I think the idea here is that we want to support young men and women who might not be at the top of the academic pyramid, so to speak. And let's help somebody who really wants to accomplish something, and that's the philosophy behind this. So they have to write something, which is not that easy sometimes, and get letters of recommendation. So Norge Norsemen Satellite Lodge, the wonderful group you have, the spirit of celebrating Norwegian and Nordic culture is really wonderful, and you're really setting the bar for not only us in our lodge, but also lodges around us. We're the only satellite lodge in the international Sons of Norway, and I think in part because it's a unique opportunity. We've had great leadership. We had a nuclear group who had been carrying us forward, and then you all have generated an amazing amount of interest in the satellite lodge. So just because I happen to be president doesn't mean I'm micromanaging Norge Norsemen here, guys. And so Melody has done a fantastic job. Daryl, of course, is financing. You know, you're 50-50 one of your 50/50s is about twice to 2.5 times what we get on the south side in one.
We don't do it, we do a raffle.
Huh?
We do a raffle.
A raffle, yeah, the raffle.
So they take something home.
Yeah, the raffle is just fabulous. And I wanted the one I wanted at the yoga board was the Rosemary plate. It was just so special.
Sorry.
And then Robin is doing a great job too, sending out information and so forth. Right now, current dues are 600 and families 95. We got 336 members. Again, we're third largest in the district. We've received several awards. We had a run of awards here until 2022, and who knows what the 2024 convention is going to be, but it's because of the strong leadership, and your boost from Norge Norsemen is a major part of that. We go through a few activities. This is the Virginia Beach Bazaar, and you guys have got a great location now. Just fantastic. And what was your people? How many people attended?
Just over 1,100.
1,100, and we were lucky to get 950 on the south side. So, and you're going to get more next year.
So are you.
I'm thinking. Yeah. And then the bakery goods are always the big sellers. And we have been providing food at our bazaar, and it looks like you're going to be doing that next year. And that's a great, maybe not a big money maker, but it provides a more casual atmosphere. People can hang out and then maybe get up and go buy some more something. But it's also a great way to put forward Norwegian cuisine. Here's the first Norge Norsemen gathering. This mascot, I tell you when that was. Then this was the first meeting I went to in January when I took over, and what a difference! And if you clustered that whole group at the Eula board, you probably wouldn't have room up in the front of the Viking Hall to take a picture. You'd have to all get outside, which at the time probably wasn't a good idea. Here's our boat. Remember, Alex Pincus has fixed it all up now. It can float. The story is that he fixed it up to make it float, so his daughter was getting married, and she came into the wedding on the bow of the boat as a Viking princess. And this was his idea, his supposed motivation, so his daughter could arrive at her wedding as a Viking princess. And this is your bazaar and so forth. The Norwegian Lady Ceremony, again, is on the ocean front. This happened to be the one with the King's Guard there. And then this is a picture of the Norwegian Lady Celebration. And it's a wonderful event because it brings the NATO military together and many people from different Norwegian and Scandinavian backgrounds. We have a really big crowd. Leif Erikson Day is a wonderful way of celebrating Leif Erikson, who was a little bit of a rascal. But we have lay a wreath. We do this jointly with the Iceland organization, and we lay a wreath. And of course, lots of fellowship, and here's the Eula board. You have the summer picnic. And there's a NATO parade where all NATO countries, which is huge now, you know, NATO didn't used to be that big. But this is our float. It's an award-winning float. They retired the trophy because we kept getting awards. And here it is going through the NATO parade. It's quite spectacular. We gave this to the NATO people, and they are now maintaining it. And so we have several of the NATO, mostly children, are all crawling around in the float, and it's a wonderful time. We have fellowship lunches. And lastly, here's the cultural programs. I've described yours in the Hampton Roads. Elizabeth Call is going to talk about Norwegian merchant mariner. She's married to a merchant marine fellow. And then Ralph Peterson and I are going to talk about the elite Norwegian American soldiers in World War II, the 99th Infantry Battalion, and then the OSS Norso group. And that's going to be really interesting. And I'm going to come here in the fall, and we'll talk about that. And then here's your cultural programs as well. And these are really important because now that we can record them, you don't have to be present to win, so to speak. And here's our YouTube channel. Okay, well, let's wrap it up. And any questions about Sons of Norway, or organization, and so forth? Yeah.
Mike, I think we, to encourage more membership, I think you pointed it out, the scholarship availability is a good selling point for attracting, especially people with younger kids, as they get older, they gotta start thinking about, oh yeah, I'm going to college and I'm going, this and that. And we have in the Norge Norsemen, we have a fair amount of younger couples, and it's a great way to get that next generation to take advantage of what we have to offer.
That's good, but you can do grandchildren.
Yeah.
So, I gotta wait a little while, my oldest is 8, but yeah.
I just want to highlight our Facebook page as a great place to find information for upcoming events. And you won't find it under Norge Norsemen, you'll find it under HRSON or Hampton Road Sons of Norway, but please follow us, you can keep up to date.
Yeah, and then Elizabeth Call keeps that updated. Robin, you're participating in that from Norge Norsemen?
Pam is our.
Yeah, great, thanks. So, it's updated and so forth. The other thing that we forgot to mention is, you can send pictures into the Viking magazine and they'll post pictures of the Viking. And you've had a couple.
Right, we have.
Yeah.
I feel like there's one in there this month.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
So, thanks for mentioning that. Yeah.
Considering pictures in the Viking magazine, one is of a tradesman, a traditional tradesman, a man that I've known for years through Kona Wingsburg, a cooper, a barrel maker, in essence. And he came and did a wonderful demonstration with our meeting, and one of the young people was invited to sit down at a shaving horse and make a stave. This fella, I think Melody encouraged him to apply for a grant to study Norwegian coopering. And he went to Norway and visited a number of museums and was just blown away by what he found. He wasn't prepared for the beauty of Norway. And he thought he was just going to keep his head, in the museums, and he wasn't able to do that. But there is money there to further culture, and I think it's real important. If anyone has an interest in something, it doesn't have to be Norwegian coopering, ought to look into it and make an application.
We get grant money to support some of our expenses to project. We've received several grants to support some of our expenses for projectors and so forth. But he came to the HR Lodge meeting in Virginia Beach, and he starts shaving these, and I said, holy smokes, we got this pile of shavings in the floor, and it's a Boy Scout room in the church. I said, oh man, this is gonna be, and but it was spectacular.
Yeah.
And he was a wonderful, the advertisement stopped vessels, and I said, what kind of boat is that? And then I finally figured out what he was talking about. That's a perfect example of the grants.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
I'd like to add a little bit. When we talk about the importance of the insurance, many years ago when our families came, most of them didn't have any kind of insurance. But if you read anything about those trips from Norway to America, there were too many people that didn't make it to America. They died on board, and that is tragic. And so, if a man with a family died, what is his wife going to do to provide for their little children? How is that going to happen? And that was not infrequent, and it's tragic. But that's where that came from, to protect and encourage and help people as they immigrated to be able to guarantee that they had resources to continue to live. So that's one thing I wanted to say. Corey was my second point. Cora mentioned the charitable trust. So both of his parents were 100% Norwegian, and we have the opportunity in our district, as Mike said, we're the only ones that offer a charitable trust, that think beyond ourselves of maybe someone else having a need. And so to honor my husband's parents, every year we contribute to the charitable trust. And those, that monies might, and we don't have a stipulation on it, they are well able to see where there's need within our group, within our third district. And it might be a widow who is really living only on Social Security. She's in her 80s and she's got a roof leaking. Might be a new roof. You know, there's just different ways to help, and it's wonderful. I'm so thankful that when I got to know Marshall Sheets, the Cooper that was referred to, that he expressed a curiosity to pursue a Scandinavian connection with his trade. He had been at Clooney Williamsburg for years, and he just mentioned how wonderful it would be, and I said, well, Marshall, two things. You need to apply for membership for Sons of Norway, and then you need to apply for a grant to study abroad. He said, I don't know what you're talking about. Tell me about it. So I told him about the grants and scholarships, because this was a learning, this was connecting to heritage. He did apply. He was given it, as Cora said, and it's wonderful that he shares that wherever he goes. It's not just our two Norwegian groups, but other organizations in the community. He has shared a presentation about coopering, and he's great, you know. And the children that were there that day were so fascinated with this on-hands demonstration of curls and shards flying everywhere. He made it look so easy, but I'm sure it's not. But we just want to encourage each other. We want to support each other. Mike mentioned things that within the group that we have access to, even learning Norwegian online. There's also a museum that is dedicated to Norwegian heritage in Decorah, Iowa, who offers online classes with a live teacher. Cora and I just completed a beginner conversation class. It was very reasonably priced, 8 weeks long. Technically we didn't have homework, but we sure did. You know, a lot to digest to be ready for the next class. So there's just so many ways to connect with the heritage and to encourage each other. And really, I want to stress for our younger families the opportunity for the kids as they age older. Even when they're big enough to go to a day camp, we have 2 camp experiences that are wonderful. And then as they're thinking of college, 2 years ago, I was fortunate to be a delegate for the convention that was held at Jacksonville, Florida. There was a man there who represented a table during the vendor time when people could offer things for sale. And he had a picture of a girl and a boy, young people, young adults, on his table as well. And I asked, are these your children? He said, yes. And I have to tell you that they each applied for a grant for school, for college, and they both received the grant. And the comment that they both made to the father was, they don't even know us, and yet they're behind us. That's a really special feeling of knowing that people are cheering for you, rooting for you. And that's what these two kids expressed. So I just want to encourage that for grandkids, for children getting to that age. Unfortunately, when Cora and I were first joining, our oldest grandchildren were in that age, but we didn't really know about the scholarship. But now we have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I know, you know. So, and even for the other kids, they could apply for a learning experience like overseas or even something here that will help. Norwegians traditionally are very visionary. They don't think just about this moment. They don't think just about themselves, but they have a much bigger perspective, and it's a very healthy one. So we just want to promote that and encourage that and be excited about that.
Thank you.
Well,
I do want to mention, you're developing programs for children. I think that's fabulous. And we really want to promote that, particularly your organization, and find activities for children, not just for the meeting, you know, that they're doing different things for the meeting, but also activities that might be outside the meeting, particularly in the summertime. So I just think that's a fantastic thing you're doing here too. Melissa, I guess we're done.
are there any other questions?
Yeah.
Yes, Don?
As the Hampton Roads and us, have we ever discussed doing an event on Sedentamide?
On what?
Sent to mind.
Oh, yeah, you know, it's sitting to mind. The answer is no. We certainly could do that, and I think that's an important discussion. On the south side, sitting to mind, you know, the NATO operational headquarters are in Norfolk. And so the Norwegian NATO military presence is very robust. And the NATO has a huge reception room and so forth. And so the Norwegian NATO community has their own parade of kids and that sort of thing. And they used to have a big reception at this NATO headquarters. That was put on hold for economic reasons, and then now it's been reinstated, and it's held in Virginia Beach, and we advertise it and so forth. But we haven't really had a discussion about a separate Sons of Norway law. It's sitting to my celebration. You know, if it's in the middle of the week, you do it on the weekend. And what's great is we could get the kids, that's the whole purpose, is to have a children's parade, and that's their celebration. And, you know, that's a great idea, and maybe we could put it together this year. I really think that would be.
We also
I just
have
looked, it happens to be on a Friday, the next day would be.
Saturday.
That's what I'm saying, so it's the middle of the week, you do it on the weekend.
We've also, recently, some of the leadership discussed the fact that we could participate in the Christmas in Williamsburg parade, Christmas parade, and that would be really fun.
Put a bunch of lights on the longship.
We need your float.
The longship.
The float?
Well, the
Won't
longship
get through
would
the
be
tunnel.
very
Okay.
attention-getting.
Well, thanks so much, folks, and looking
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing you. I'll be up at your